Preheat your ovens, get out your baking pans, and measure those ingredients. We're baking cookies today. I've been buying my milk and ice cream at Meyer-Dairy since I moved to Happy Valley in 1974. I love this place. It's family friendly and they support a host of local businesses too. One of my favorite things about Meyer-Dairy is their eggnog, and it starts showing up in their dairy case just about this time of year. In fact, I like it so much, I've invented a cookie to use it. You know what I call them? Mel's Happy Valley Meyer-Dairy Eggnog Cookies. Let's get started. The secret to making really good eggnog cookies, meaning to make them really taste like eggnog, is you got to make sure you use the right spices and flavorings, the traditional ones. That means I'm seasoning my flour with a good dose of nutmeg and cinnamon, and I'm stirring some rum extract and vanilla extract into my eggnog. In my mixing bowl, I've got a half a cup of white sugar, half a cup of brown sugar, a stick and a half of unsalted butter, and 2 extra large egg yolks. With my mixer on low speed, I'm just going to start low to begin with, and work your way up to a higher speed. I'm going to cream. This is called creaming the eggs, butter, and sugar. And I'm just going to try to keep it all at the bottom of the mixer bowl by scraping it down almost constantly with a spatula. Now that it's creamy, I can up the mixer speed and really let this cream up for a good minute or two. That's looking pretty good. Now I'm going to lower my mixer speed again. It's just barely moving. And I'm going to pour all of my seasoned eggnog mixture into that. Well, you can smell the rum flavoring. And once it's kind of stirred in, again, we're going to up that mixer speed. And this really has to get creamed together. Now I'm kind of whipping this for just a moment or two. And once again, lower the mixer speed. And I'm going to start adding my seasoned flour, but I'm not going to throw it in or dump it in all at once. You don't need to measure it, but it's best if you do it in 2 or 3 increments, or 3 parts, a third, and a third, so that you can slowly get it in. And the reason you're doing this in parts is because it gives you the opportunity to really scrape the bottom and the sides of the bowl to make sure that the flour is all getting stirred in and not sticking on the sides of your bowl. Okay, so that's the first one. That's our second one. Now our cookie batter is beginning to form. It's a batter right now. It's not quite a dough because it's not thick enough to be a dough. And now our last batch of flour. And with this last one, you really want to make sure that you've done a real good job of getting all of the flour incorporated. And the only other thing I'll say to you, you can see I'm using a handheld electric mixer to do this. This recipe doubles and triples really well, but if you're going to make more than one batch at a time, I really suggest you get out your stand mixer, your KitchenAid or your Cuisinart with the paddle attachment, because a small hand mixer like this really won't handle the weight of this dough if it's a double batch. That looks about perfect. I'm just going to clear my blades a little bit here. Turn my mixer off. I'm going to scrape all of this down, clear off my beaters. I'm going to transfer my dough to a small container, and I'm going to place it in the refrigerator for 1 hour to stiffen, to chill it before we bake our cookies. I've lined 2 of my biggest baking pans with parchment paper, and I've been using a 1 3/4 inch ice cream scoop to measure my dough into even, well-rounded balls and place them on the pans. And I'm here to tell you that this dough, if you use a 1 3/4 inch ice cream scoop, is going to make exactly 24 cookies. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take both of these pans and I'm going to put them on a shelf in my refrigerator to chill again for 15 to 20 minutes before I bake them at 350 degrees for exactly 13 minutes. My cookies are baked and cooled, and I'm going to start frosting them, but first I have to make the frosting. So I've put 2 cups of confectioner's sugar in a bowl, and I've added 4 tablespoons of the eggnog, and I'm going to follow this up with a full tablespoon of rum extract. This is actually butter rum extract. I'm going to stir this. It takes a couple of minutes to do this. Confectioner's sugar just melts with the liquid when the liquid hits it. Just keep stirring and be patient. It's going to get all smooth and drizzly. It takes about less than a minute, you can see already. Smooth and drizzly. And technically you could use this to frost your cookies, but I don't use it quite yet. I like to cover mine and let it sit for about 30 minutes, and sometimes even overnight, because then you're really sure that every last little bit of confectioner's sugar has totally melted in, and you get a real ribbony consistency, and that is exactly what you want your frosting to look like. My frosting's all rested, and working in batches of 6. I'm just going to pick up my cookies. I do not like a lot. Some people might want to dip the top of this cookies in this frosting, but I don't like to do that because then I just get crumbs in my frosting. I think that's annoying. Just one at a time. This really isn't going to drip very much. I like to take my time so they look really pretty. Well, that's 6. And the reason I'm working in batches of 6 is because this frosting hardens, and you want it to harden. You really want them to get a nice little bit of a crunchy glaze. But by the time I get done with 6, it's still wet enough that I can sprinkle ever so lightly a little bit of ground nutmeg, one of the traditional flavors. We've got the rum in the frosting, the nutmeg on the top, just a little bit. And remember, nutmeg is very intense, so you really just want to give it just a little bit of a sprinkle. And then I'm going to let these sit on the rack for an hour or 2 or 3 or 4 so that that frosting really hardens up before I put them on my cookie tray and serve them. About the only thing that tastes better than a Happy Valley Meyer-Dairy Egg-Nog cookie is a Happy Valley Meyer-Dairy Egg-Nog cookie served with Meyer-Dairy Egg-Nog. Don't believe me? Just ask Santa. For these and all of my recipes, just go to my website.